At the class reunion, my fiancée Su Yanran showed up with a shy, soft-spoken young man. She announced publicly that he was her new boyfriend. Before I could react, her best friend shot to her feet. Su Yanran, are you out of your mind? What on earth do you think you're doing? Su Yanran curled her lip dismissively. Shen Lang and I grew up together. We've been together way too long. I just want to see what else is out there before we get married. At that, I unconsciously scuffed my shoe against the floor. Great, I just stepped in shit. With graduation around the corner, the old friends gathering was lively. Everyone kept asking me if the wedding with Su Yanran was coming up soon. I smiled and replied, the wedding's set for October. I'll need all of you there to witness it. Bye. The way, why didn't Yanran come with you? Her best friend Tang Weiwei asked. She said she had something to take care of, told me to go first. I picked up my phone. Let me ask where she is. Before I finished speaking, the private room door swung open, and Su Yanran walked in gracefully. Only she was holding hands with that shy young man. The laughter died down at once. Everyone's eyes darted back and forth between Su Yanran and me, full of questions. I froze too. My gaze flicked over their clasped hands, then up to her face. Su Yanran held her head high, staring right back at me with a stubborn glint in her eyes. Yanran. Double quotes. Sensing the tension, Tang Weiwei stood up to break the silence. Who's this? Your brother? Su Yanran lifted their clasped hands in a defiant gesture and said slowly, clearly, this is my boyfriend. A murmur of shock rippled through the room. Zhou Chun, Tang Weiwei's boyfriend, was sitting right next to me. He started to stand up, but I grabbed him and held him down before he could move. I'll handle this myself, I said quietly. I tapped the table, looked her dead in the eye, and said, Su Yanran, do you have any idea what you're saying? I know exactly what I'm saying. She held the boy's hand tighter, leaning into his arms as she spoke calmly. Shen Lang, we've been together for so long I can see every day of the rest of our lives already. So. She paused, her eyes glinting with amusement as she looked at me. I want to see what else is out there before we get married. Then she added quickly, relax, it won't get in the way of our wedding. Wedding? Like hell there's going to be a wedding. When you're that speechless you almost want to laugh. The anger that had flared up the second she spoke faded away just as quietly. I mentally slapped myself hard. Don't ask why I didn't do it for real, it hurts. This is what you get for wasting your childhood on games and ruining your eyesight. You fell for a woman like her? Enough. I leaned back in my chair, not even bothering to look at her. I get it. You've shown him off. You gonna sit down for a farewell dinner, or go off on your date with your little boy toy? Su Yanran whispered something in the boy's ear. He nodded politely to everyone, turned and left the private room. As soon as the door closed, Tang Weiwei couldn't hold back any longer. She grabbed Su Yanran's arm. Yanran, are you insane? What is this? You said you'd never marry anyone but Shen Lang. I never said I wouldn't marry him, Su Yanran said casually. I just want to see what else is out there first, that's all. Then she turned to me with a smirk. Well done, Shen Lang. You even turned my own best friend against me. It was downright disgusting. After nearly 20 years of knowing each other, it felt like I was finally seeing her for who she really was. Beneath the absurdity of it all, I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. At least I found out before it was too late. The rest of the meal was tasteless. Everyone picked at their food for a few more minutes before heading out one by one. As everyone said their goodbyes, Tang Weiwei walked over to me looking awkward. Shen Lang, don't do anything rash. I'll go with Yanran, talk some sense into her, figure out what's going on. I just looked over at Su Yanran standing under the street lamp in the distance and said nothing. Reason? It didn't matter anymore. When I didn't reply, she pulled Zhou Chun over. Stay with Shen Lang, walk with him for a bit. I'll go talk to her. Zhou Chun walked over with a complicated look on his face. Longji, wanna go grab a couple drinks? Let's go. I slung an arm around his shoulder. No one really drank tonight. Come have a few more with me. We found a night market stall and Zhou Chun filled our glasses. Longji, if you're hurting, let it out. I raised my glass to him, then tossed the whole thing back in one go. Zhou Chun looked even more torn up than I did. He tried to say something a few times, but I stopped him each time. Good guy. I'd always thought he and Tang Weiwei made a great couple. Lang Ji, I'm sure Yanren Ji just made a stupid mistake. Weiwei will talk her around. You two grew up together after all those years. I waved a hand, cutting him off. Flowers bloom again, but youth never comes back. If all those years together couldn't make her stay, do you really think talking her into it will help? You. Really giving up on her? She already made her choice, didn't she? I said flatly. When I was good and drunk, I waved Joe Chun off. Don't walk me. I want to be alone for a bit. I turned and waved at him, missing the troubled look on his face behind my back. Watching me walk away, Joe Chun paced back and forth under the street lamp, gripping his phone tight, then loosening his hold again. Finally, with a conflicted look, he made a call. Xiao Mei. Lang Ji and Yanren Ji broke up. A gasp came from the other end of the line. Walking alone, the cold night wind cooled some of the restlessness in my chest. I couldn't stop the memories of Su Yanran from flooding back. We'd been neighbors since we were kids. Our parents were always busy when we were little, so it was just the two of us, growing up side by side. Elementary school, middle school, high school, college. We grew up together, always there for each other. Girls mature faster. In high school, Su Yanren confessed her feelings to me. After that, we encouraged each other, stuck together, and got through the hardest years of high school side by side. After the college entrance exam, we applied to the same university. On our graduation trip, just the two of us. We became one. In college, we were inseparable. Both our families were happy for us, fully on board with the relationship. And that's how we got here. Graduation around the corner, wedding date set, ... When did it all start to change? I thought back to the day I proposed, 3 months ago. At the top of the sacred Jade Dragon Snow Mountain, I got down on one knee, kissed the back of her hand, and slipped the ring onto her finger. She'd had a strange mixed look on her face and didn't say a word for a long time. I thought I hadn't planned it well enough. But she shook her head and smiled. Lang, don't overthink it. Marrying you is all I've ever wanted. Looking back now, that forced smile had been so painfully fake. So she never really wanted to marry me at all. Our seemingly perfect love had turned into something forced and bitter by the end. Before I knew it, I'd walked to the apartment we were supposed to live in after we married. I opened the door, looked at all the little things we decorated together, and finally slid down the wall to sit on the floor, defeated. How could I not be sad? Time doesn't go back. I'd never have another childhood sweetheart love like this. I lit a cigarette and sat there in the dark for a long time. The glow of the cigarette faded, but my eyes grew clear again. I picked up my phone and called Su Yanran's parents first. Uncle Su, the wedding's off. Su Yanran and I broke up, ... After I told him what happened, Uncle Su fell silent for a very long time. Xiao Long. I understand. Our Yanran has wronged you. Thank you for understanding, Uncle. Xiao Lang, Auntie Su's voice came on. You two have been together so many years. I'm sure she just made a stupid mistake. Can you give her another chance? That's enough, Uncle Su cut her off. I'm sorry, Xiao Lang. I'll let everyone know the wedding's cancelled. Our families had always been incredibly close. After all these years, her parents had treated me like their own son. I hung up and sighed softly, then called my own parents to tell them what happened. I didn't have the energy to deal with how either family was taking it. I grabbed a cardboard box and packed up every gift we'd ever given each other. If we were breaking up, we should do it clean. Better to tear off the bandage now and let the wound heal properly, than keep moping over old memories later. I carried the box downstairs and ran straight into someone's Su Yanran. When she saw what was in the box, she looked flustered. Shenlang, what are you doing? Throwing them away. My voice was flat. We broke up. What's the point of keeping this stuff? Su Yanran took a deep breath and snatched the box out of my arms. If anyone's throwing them away, it's me. Suit yourself. I waved a hand. What are you doing here this late? Was passing by. Wanted to make sure you didn't drink yourself to death. Thanks. Save the concern for your little boyfriend. I pushed down the wave of nausea in my chest and turned to walk back inside. Shenlang. She ran after me and tried to grab my arm. The second her fingers touched my arm, I yanked it back like I'd been shocked. Don't touch me. She froze for a second, looking lost as she stared at me, then down at her own hand. I stepped back 2 paces and said slowly, clearly, Soo-yeon-run, I'll say it one more time. We're done. We're not lovers, not friends. And if I had it my way, we'd never see each other again for the rest of our lives. She stared at me blankly for a long moment, then scoffed. Shen Lang, there's a limit to how jealous you can be. I told you, I just want to see what else is out there before we get married. I'm still gonna marry you. I didn't want to listen any longer. It turned out I'd been blind not just with my eyes but with my heart too. I'd never realized just how warped Soo-yeon-run's values were. Get lost, I snapped, thoroughly fed up. Seeing that I'd lost my temper, Soo-yeon-run took a sheepish step back. Fine. At least I know you haven't drunk yourself to death, so I can stop worrying. I'm gonna hang out with my boyfriend now. She was completely out of her mind. I slept straight through until morning. When I woke up, there was still a heavy feeling in my chest. I poured myself a glass of warm water and stepped out onto the balcony. The wedding apartment had only been finished for less than a month. Soo-yeon-run and I hadn't even had a chance to move in yet. I never thought my first night here would end up like this. Looking at all the brand new furnishings inside, I felt another wave of pointless frustration. There was no way I could keep this place. I planned to list it for sale as soon as possible. I was staring off into the distance in a daze when my phone suddenly rang. Hey Long Jae. It was Joe Chun. He sounded sheepish and apologetic. Lang Jae, I need to ask you a favor. What's up? It's my little sister. Jo Kyoksi. He paused for a second. She flew over out of nowhere last night. Said she wanted to celebrate my graduation. But something came up with my thesis today, and I have to go see my supervisor right now. Lang Jae. His voice was tentative. She's at the airport right now. Could you go pick her up for me? Jo Kyoksi. That bright-eyed deer-like little girl? She'd visited her brother plenty of times over the college years, so we were pretty familiar with each other. No problem at all. Kyoksi's like a little sister to me. Don't worry, I'll get her here safe and sound. I hung up, got myself ready, and took a taxi straight to the airport. Inside the airport terminal, I called Jo Kyoksi again and again, but no one picked up. Just as I was starting to wonder what was going on, Lang Jae, someone tapped me on the shoulder out of nowhere. I turned around to see a girl with chestnut-colored long hair and big, clear eyes standing behind me with a bright smile. Ah! I had turned around too fast and she was standing too close. I knocked her off balance. I quickly reached out and caught her. The girl, clearly startled, wrapped her arms tight around my waist and wouldn't let go. Kyoksi? Kyoksi? Lang Jae? You scared me to death. Jo Kyoksi clenched her tiny fist and gave my chest a soft, playful punch. I was gonna surprise you. It had been over half a year since I'd last seen Jo Kyoksi. She'd changed a lot since then. Noticing me staring, she spun around gracefully. Well, Lang Jae, do I look nice? I gave her a thumbs up. Look at you, all grown up and beautiful. Come on. I took her suitcase from her. Let's go find your brother. Jo Kyoksi latched onto my arm at once, pouting. Longji, I've been waiting forever. My legs are all stiff. Let me lean on you a little. Fine, I sighed. Jo Chun doted on this little sister of his like she was the most precious thing in the world. By the time we walked out of the terminal, Jo Chun stepped out from behind a pillar. He watched our retreating backs, scratched his head with a grimace, and made a phone call. Wait, if. Okay, I did something to let you down. Then. You're dead meat. Tang Weiwei was clearly in a terrible mood on the other end. Whoa, I was just kidding. Jo Chun hung up casually. Little sis, your brother's betting the happiness of his whole life on this. Jo Kyoksi was bubbly and talkative, chattering non-stop the whole way. Funny stories from her school, books she'd been reading lately, new milk, tea flavors she'd tried, jokes she'd seen online. She just kept going and going. I silently handed her a bottle of water. Longji, are you annoyed by how much I'm talking? Jo Kyoksi looked at me with big, pitiful eyes. No, It's nice hearing you talk about all this stuff. Su Yanran popped into my head again out of nowhere. How long had it been since she'd shared little silly things like this with me? The cracks had been there all along, I realized. Langue. Jokyoksi waved her little hand in front of my face. There's a beautiful girl sitting right in front of you and you're zoning out? She puffed out her cheeks like an angry little bun and glowered at me. Ah no, sorry. I quickly changed the subject. How come you haven't come to visit in so long? I knew you'd be busy with wedding stuff with Yanranji. I didn't want to get in the way. Noticing my expression darken, she trailed off. I just didn't want to bother you guys when you're so busy, that's all. Were you excited to see me, Langji? She snuggled closer to my arm, tilting her head and smiling up at me. Yeah, of course I was. I tapped her forehead gently. Jokyoksi's eyes crinkled into smiles, and she rested her head on my shoulder. Langji, I didn't sleep well last night. Can I lean on you for a bit? She pressed her head against me carefully, holding tight to my arm. Knowing how long her trip had been, I tilted my shoulder a little closer to her. When we reached the school gate, I hefted her suitcase and asked, "Wanna go find your brother first?" "Aw, no rush. Who knows how long he'll be stuck with his thesis." "Langji, show me around the campus, please." She pressed her hands together, begging cutely. "You've been here so many times. I don't know what there is left to see." "Fine, let's go." I turned and started walking. Hee. Jokyoksi skipped to catch up with me and grabbed onto the hem of my shirt. Huh? Isn't that Yanranji? There was an HIV/AIDS awareness campaign going on in the campus square, and the box next to the poster stand was full of condoms. Most of the girls walking by blushed and hurried past, while quite a few guys were lining up to take some. Su Yanran and that little boyfriend of hers were walking right by. Yanranji. I tried to stop Jokyoksi, but it was too late. Su Yanran turned her head and looked over. Jokyoksi slipped her arm through mine and waved at Su Yanran. Su Yanran stared at us for a long moment, then turned and said something to the boy beside her. Then she took his hand, and the two of them got in line for the condoms together. Nice one, Su Yanran. Did you have to air every last bit of your dirty laundry in public? The sick feeling in my stomach grew stronger. I led Jokyoksi across the square without looking back. Langji, you and Yanranji, ... We broke up. I looked at her calmly, my voice steady. I'm so sorry, Langji. She met my eyes and trailed off, giving my arm a gentle shake. You must be really sad, huh? It's fine. Don't feel bad. Yeah, go call your brother. Jokyoksi went a little pale, mumbled an okay, and walked off to the side with her phone. Langji. A minute later, she walked back over, holding her phone. My brother says he's too busy to get away. She kept her head down, too nervous to look at me. I took the phone. On the line, Jo-chun apologized profusely, saying he really couldn't get away, and asked me to look after Jokyoksi for him. I hung up and sighed quietly. Kyoksi, it's almost lunchtime. What do you feel like eating? Langji, I've been here so many times, but I've never tried your campus cafeteria. Can we go? Sure. College cafeterias all tend to look the same. I got Jokyoksi settled at a table and went to line up at the counter. That's when I saw Su Yanran walk in with her little boyfriend. She just wouldn't leave me alone, would she? I turned my head away, deciding to pretend I hadn't seen them. But no sooner had I gotten our food and sat down with Jokyoksi than Su Yanran plopped herself down right across from us. Jokyoksi. What are you doing here? Su Yanran's voice was haughty and domineering. I came to see my brother. Jokyoksi's voice was quiet at first, but got louder and firmer with every word. Su Yanran gave her a long, hard look, then turned her gaze to me. Shenlang, don't you have anything you want to say to me? Like what? Praising you for your great awareness of safe sex? Making a positive contribution to HIV prevention? Can you stop being so nasty? Nasty? I thought I was complimenting you. Can you stop being so sarcastic? If you don't like my attitude, why the hell did you sit down here, Shenlang? Su Yanran shot to her feet. I'm still your fiancé, PFFT, I laughed out loud. Su Yanran. I tapped the side of my head. If there's something wrong up here, go see a doctor. I nodded toward the flustered boy standing beside her. And sorry, threesomes aren't my thing. Su Yanran went pale at once. Let's go. I took Joe Kikuchi, who'd been sitting there quiet as a mouse, and turned to leave. The second we walked out the door, Shen Lang. From the corner of my eye, I saw Su Yanran start to chase after us, but the boy held her back. Come on. I took Joe Kyoxi's hand. Your brother's gonna cook you something nice for lunch. The new apartment had never been used for cooking before. Joe Kyoxi and I went to the nearby supermarket to stock up. Now that Su Yanran was out of the picture, Joe Kyoxi perked right back up, chattering away and telling me what she wanted to eat. She pushed the shopping cart around me, laughing and talking, and slowly, the heavy feeling in my chest started to lift. We picked out ingredients for a few of my best dishes and headed back to the apartment, happy with our haul. Long JJ, your cooking is so good. Joe Kyoxi's cheeks were stuffed full, like a little squirrel hoarding food for winter. I wish I could eat your cooking all the time. When I didn't say anything, her voice trailed off softly. Kyoxi. Looking at this girl 2 years younger than me, I knew I had to be honest about some things. How could I not have noticed? The way she'd acted around me this trip was nothing like before. I wasn't an idiot. I could tell exactly how she felt about me. I tapped my chest and said, Su Yanran and I just broke up. My heart. It's not ready for someone new yet. I know how you feel, but I couldn't finish the sentence because big tears were already rolling down Joe Kyoxi's cheeks. Brother, I'm sorry. Please don't hate me. I know you noticed, brother. I did it on purpose this morning right in front of Yanran Ji. You're so good to her. Why can't she appreciate you? My brother told me about you and Yanran Ji last night. I flew over right away that same night. I kept thinking, you've been so good to her. You must be heartbroken. With that, Joe Kyoxi burst into loud sobs. Now it was my turn to panic, not knowing what to do. She threw herself into my arms and wrapped her arms tight around my waist. Please don't hate me, brother. Because her voice dropped to a whisper. I've been in love with you for 3 years. My heart clenched hard in my chest. She buried her face in my chest, her tears soaking through my shirt. I fell for you the first time I saw you, but you were happy with Yanran Ji back then, and Wei Wei Ji is my sister-in-law. I had to bury my feelings deep down. I could only love you quietly in secret. I'm not a good girl. I kept hoping you two would break up. When I heard you were getting married, I was completely devastated. That's why I didn't come visit for so long. I couldn't bear to watch you marry someone else. As soon as I found out you broke up, I booked the earliest flight I could. I just wanted to see you as soon as possible, and be here for you. My nose stung, and a strange warm feeling of emotion welled up in my chest. I'd forgotten one detail earlier. The earliest flight from Shanghai to Wuchang doesn't land until after 9 a.m. But I'd picked Joe Kyoxi up past 8 o'clock. That silly girl had taken a red-eye flight, then waited at the airport for hours just to make it look like she'd just arrived. Will you wait for me, brother? I'll be old enough to get married next year. Joe Kyoxi mumbled into my chest, her voice so soft I could barely hear it. After I comforted her softly for a while, Joe Kyoxi finally fell asleep. She'd pulled an all-nighter at the airport, then walked around campus with me all morning. She was completely exhausted. I closed the bedroom door gently, sighed, and sat down in the living room. So there had been someone, somewhere I didn't know, waiting for me all this time. Someone who'd pulled my heart out of the mud, cleaned it off, and held it close. Men don't cry easily, they just haven't felt something deep enough yet. I rubbed my eyes, leaned back on the sofa, and closed my eyes. There was a knock at the door. I went over and opened it. Joe Chun was scratching his head sheepishly and smiling at me. Tang Weiwei gave him an annoyed glare and pulled him inside. Lang Jie, I'm sorry. She's my only little sister. Joe Chun only dared to sit on the very edge of the chair. At that, Tang Weiwei slapped him hard on the back twice. Sit down. I poured them both some tea. Xiao Chun, thanks for trusting me with her. Long Jie, what about you and my sister? I picked up an envelope from the coffee table and handed it to them. Under their confused gazes, they opened the envelope. It was a job offer from a well-known company in Shanghai. Longjie. Zhou Chun shot to his feet, excited. You have to take this. Shen Lang. Tang Weiwei trailed off, unsure what to say. I got it 10 days ago. I was gonna turn it down before ... I didn't finish the sentence. They both knew exactly what I meant. Tang Weiwei crumpled the letter slightly, her hands tightening then loosening. Shen Lang. Is there really no going back with Yanrun? You went to talk to her last night. Did it do any good? Tang Weiwei's gaze dimmed. She stood up suddenly. I need to go downstairs for a minute. She hurried out, not even bothering to put her heels on properly. Half an hour later, Tang Weiwei came back with red, puffy eyes. The second she walked in, she threw herself into Zhou Chun's arms and sobbed. Yanrun. She cut me off. She said we're not friends anymore. The bedroom door creaked open a crack. The noise in the living room had woken Zhou Kyoxi. Seeing us all looking her way, she walked out looking a little sheepish. Weiwei ji ... You silly girl. Tang Weiwei wiped her tears and stepped forward to hug her. Shen Lang treat Kyoxi well. Tang Weiwei looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Weiwei ji? Zhou Kyoxi looked like she still hadn't woken up properly. Silly girl. Tang Weiwei ruffled her hair, picked up the job offer and handed it to her. Shen Lang's moving to Shanghai for work. Ah! Zhou Kyoxi clapped a hand over her mouth in disbelief, then looked at me for confirmation. I nodded gently. Zhou Kyoxi's eyes welled up at once. She threw herself at me, hugging me and laughing through her tears. Zhou Chun glanced cautiously at Tang Weiwei, then at his little sister, and let out a long sigh of relief. Zhou Kyoxi and I packed our bags that same day, and booked flights to Shanghai for the next morning. Once I'd made up my mind, I didn't hesitate. That night, the four of us celebrated warmly at the apartment, both for my bright future ahead, and for Zhou Kyoxi's dream finally coming true. Our laughter and chatter went on until 11 o'clock. In the end, Zhou Chun and Tang Weiwei practically dragged Zhou Kyoxi away. Both looking stern, she'd insisted on staying the night. As she was dragged away, she kept looking back at me with those pitiful eyes, waving wildly until the elevator doors slid shut. I watched her with a smile until the elevator hit the ground floor, my eyes soft with affection. With a girl like this, what was there to hesitate about? I closed the door, pulled out my phone, and blocked every last one of Su Yanrun's contacts. Lying in bed, I felt completely at peace. Tomorrow would be a brand new start. Time slipped by, and before I knew it, late autumn had arrived. That day, I'd just reached the entrance of my office building, when someone covered my eyes from behind. Guess who? I gently took hold of the hands over my eyes, turned around and pulled her into my arms. It's my little Kyoxi. You're so good, brother. You got it right first try. You win a kiss from Kyoxi. Kyoxi was wearing soft pink lipstick that day, and it made my throat go tight. He. Kyoxi grinned triumphantly, wrapped her arms around my neck, stood on her tiptoes, and kissed me. Shen Lang. A familiar voice called out from behind me, and my gaze turned cold at once. Su Yanrun. I turned around. Su Yanrun, wearing only a short-sleeved shirt, was shivering in the cold wind. Lang, I've looked everywhere for you. It's been so hard. I never thought she'd track me all the way to Shanghai. Before I left, I'd asked everyone who knew where I was going not to say a word. I squeezed Kyoxi's hand tight, silently telling her not to worry. Su Yanrun stood in front of me, big tears rolling down her cheeks in the cold wind. Lang, I won't mess around anymore. I promise. Come back with me and marry me, okay? She was shaking all over as she cried, her voice breaking. Please, Lang. Please. When she saw the look of disgust on my face, she froze, her mouth hanging open in shock. Su Yanrun, did you forget? We broke up a long time ago. The wedding was called off the day you announced you had a new boyfriend. I made myself perfectly clear back then. I hope you'll stop bothering me and my girlfriend from now on. With that, I took Kyoxi's hand and turned to leave. Su Yanrun suddenly dropped to her knees and grabbed the hem of my pants. Lang, don't go. Please, just give me a chance to explain. People were coming and going at the office entrance, and a crowd was already starting to gather. I sighed. Let go, Su Yanrun. Let's go to the cafe up ahead and settle this once and for all. Inside the cafe, we found a quiet table and sat down. Su Yanren stared at our clasped hands, her eyes dim and lifeless. Alang, how could you be so cruel? You blocked me everywhere. I asked everyone I know, and no one knew where you were. I begged someone at the household registration office forever before they told me you'd moved to Shanghai. Su Yanran, my patience is wearing thin. If all you're gonna do is ramble about this stuff, we're done here. Alang. She looked utterly broken. Alang, I didn't get a boyfriend. It was just a test. I was testing you, double quotes, so what? Months had passed. Her reasons for what she did didn't matter to me anymore. Betrayal or not, it was irrelevant. I saw a post on Xiaohongshu that said relationships that come too easily never last. So I wanted to make you jealous, make you value me more. After all this time, hearing her ridiculous excuse, I felt nothing at all. Reality was more absurd than any drama. That's why I found a junior who had a crush on me and asked him to pretend to be my boyfriend, just to see how you'd react. So Yanren-ji, you knew he had a crush on you, and you still let him on and pretended to be together? Kyoxi stared straight at Su Yanran as she spoke. Su Yanran froze, then rushed to explain. Alang, you have to believe me. It was all just an act. Nothing happened between us. That night I said I was going to see him, but I actually went back to my dorm. The condoms were fake too. I was just trying to get a reaction out of you. He never touched me. I swear. But Yanran-ji, Kyoxi's eyes crinkled into smiling crescents as she snuggled into my arms. I've already slept with brother. Su Yanran went completely still. Her lips trembled slightly as she looked from me to Kyoxi, and big tears started rolling down her face again. Alang, I don't care. I don't care about any of it, as long as you forgive me. But I care, Su Yanran. I leaned back in my chair, my voice calm and flat. Su Yanran stood up in agitation. Alang, you have to believe me. Nothing happened between him and me, I swear. How can you prove it, Yanran-ji? Kyoxi smiled like a little fox that had just stolen a chicken. Su Yanran froze all at once. Her face drained as pale as paper, and cold sweat trickled down her cheeks. Prove it? Her hand, curled around the coffee spoon, began to tremble uncontrollably. How am I supposed to prove it? Su Yanran shook all over, shivering violently. She finally understood. Everything she had done had become a dead end the moment I chose to walk away from her. Whether she was innocent or not, now rested entirely on other people's willingness to believe her. A bitter, hollow laugh slipped out. Su Yanran let out a wretched laugh, stood up and stared at me quietly. Alang, you'll believe me. Won't you? You once said you'd take care of me for the rest of my life. I looked back at her with a clear conscience. Su Yanran, you just wanted to have it both ways. You wanted my gentle devotion, and you craved the new thrill that Junior gave you. So you kept pushing me to lower my boundaries. If I'd put up with it back then, I know you would have only pushed even further. At my words, Su Yanran collapsed to her knees on the floor. Slowly she raised a hand and slapped herself hard across the face, then looked up at me with pleading eyes. Alang, give me one last chance, please. I said nothing more. I stood up, took Kyoxi's hand, and left without looking back. Ah, Su! Yanran's heart-wrenching cries rang out behind us. A year later, Kyoxi and I held a double wedding together with Zhou Chun and Tang Weiwei. Of all our mutual friends, Su Yanran was the only one who did not attend. After the toasting portion of the ceremony, Kyoxi pulled Zhou Chun aside. Brother, from now on I'll call you Ji, and you can call me Saozi. We can each keep our own titles. How does that sound? Su Yanran, the hero's childhood sweetheart and fiancée, brought a fake boyfriend to humiliate the hero Shen Lang at a class reunion to test their love. Presuming on their years of affection, she recklessly crossed boundaries, taking it for granted that he would always wait for her. After seeing through her selfish and twisted view of love, Shen Lang resolutely ended the relationship instead of dwelling on the sunk cost of years together. Zhou Kyoxi, who had secretly loved Shen Lang for years, came to him sincerely at his lowest point and healed him with your affection. In the end, the two found happiness, while Su Yanran's regret and attempts to reconcile came to nothing. The story warns us never to wear down true affection with tests and arrogance, nor take others' devotion for granted. The most precious things in love are firm commitment and sincerity. Tricks cannot last long, and tests cannot retain a sincere heart. Some misses last a lifetime. By the time you regret losing someone, no one will be waiting where you left them.